Making it easier to quell internal rebellions doesn't seem like a good use of resources. Did my kiln explode? Joanna gets to test whether or not wolves will attack anyone that wanders nearby. Expansion is going to cause
The most unforgivable sin imaginable.
In the last video, we set up the basics for our village, including crops, research, and defenses. We used these defenses to fight off our first raid without any losses. There's a link to the last episode in the description below. I got some good comments that I really appreciate. I also got a message from my mom asking me why I don't call her more if I have time to make videos like this, but let's get into it. In this episode, we're going to be expanding by adding a cellar for long-term storage, starting to hunt, working on more research, and hopefully adding some more production capabilities. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at the actual loot from our last fight. A lot of this is damaged, so I don't want to use it, even if it might be a slight upgrade. I don't think that I want to spend the time and space storing everything. Still, the metal materials are worth it. I may look for the leather and wood when I have a little bit more space to spare. We're also going to move the pyre. I want to put some defenses there eventually. I also think it'll just look good on this little outcrop. It lends it an almost sacred and remorseful attitude in my mind. Summer is almost here, so I wanted to add a cellar in to help preserve our food and give us more space for resources. To do that, we'll mine a few places out to put some stairs in our kitchen slash bedroom slash dining room slash research area. Unfortunately, I didn't think to move objects first, so they dropped at this new floor and stopped the actual stairs from going in. Oops. Incidentally, this wouldn't have been a problem if I tried putting in wooden stairs. Double oops. Research is super important, so I want someone to be on this table almost full time. Any of our members will do though. They'll all make some fine scrolls, so it's fine for them to...
Wait, Waynhild has a research skill of literally 0.
Maybe we throw her scribblings in the trash. At least have someone else double check them. I finally noticed the issue with the stairs down to the would-be cellar and start to fix it by digging in from the outside so I can actually move that stuff into storage and build the inside stairs, with the plan being to cover it all up once I'm done. Our storage situation is steadily looking better. Oh no, why are we storing dead bodies inside? We're storing dead bodies inside because someone whose name I won't mention made a horrible mistake. It's giving our colonists a huge mood debuff, so it's something we need to fix right away. That's a second thing I need to cover up.
Let's burn some corpses, in a sacred and almost remorseful way.
Even with those issues, things are still improving. The floor our items now sit on will still reduce decomposition. Food can still rot, which is different than decompose, but the rest of our items will be fine. With the bottom area fixed, we can start mining out a cross section for a support beam before we mine out the full cellar to avoid any potential issues. We can also start to hunt as well. This will give us leather for armor, meat for resources, and train our settlers' marksman skills all at once. Though you're not actually going to see this happen because I'm really bad at this whole recording thing. We unlocked clay brick building, which means we can put down a kiln. These aren't going to be near our other current production facilities. I think it'll look a little bit better this way, and it also feels a little bit neater to have these rancid smelling sort of idle production buildings a little further away. Operating all of these requires some initial work from a colonist, but then they'll work for a time without needing to be tended to actually make their product. Although, when I unlocked brick making, I kind of forgot that I originally planned to use my chronicles to unlock better bows first. Oops. Oh man, I missed it. Again, making sure to record everything is really hard, but we burned our first person. Corpse. We burned our first corpse. We do not burn people. Please come trade with us. We're cool. We're friendly. We have things to sell you, I promise. My initial idea for a simple 5x5 cellar doesn't really work. The top floor where we sleep is still considered a room, but the bottom floor isn't, and I'm pretty sure it's because the cellar extends to outside. And so while I'd originally planned to have the sort of underground mega cellar connecting all of our buildings to storage that's relevant to what's made in each one, I don't know if that's possible. I should check if a door works for this. This alarm is so extra. I mean, it's only a minor concussion. Why do they need medical attention? Maybe it's our complete lack of cooked food. Oops. Joanna, could you just stop sleeping and go cook everyone breakfast? At least this is the kind of mistake I'll only ever make once. Did my kiln explode?
No, I just was zoomed in too far.
The Z-plane still confuses me sometimes. It's been producing and we even have some clay bricks already ready. These are incredibly sturdy and are going to make the basis for our external walls and defenses going forward.
Crafting flawless defenses takes lots of planning. Perfect.
The clay bricks don't look nearly as nice as I'd hoped. I guess the whole cobbled gray stone castle look just appeals to me way more than bricks. I want to put a cellar in my production building, but I don't really see a good way to do this right now. I could technically put some stairs in the corner, but the room is small enough that there wouldn't be any room for future production buildings. I think we're gonna have to make the room bigger. While I get to work fixing all that, I'll just add a little bit more mining. No, oh god, everyone wants to mine. That means we need to start producing more research. It also means that we should probably be filling in the ground where we had to dig it up for our first cellar. Wish there was a fill with dirt option. This is a pretty poor cover-up. I also want to start deconstructing some of the items for our raids, but I don't really know how to choose what gets broken down. I guess we just try it for now. I mean, we're only going to lose some cheap bows if we're pretty close to making some better bows soon anyways. What's the worst that happens if we just get rid of most of our weapons right now? While we add a few more saplings to our growing tree farm, we'll actually get to work expanding the building for our production. We don't need any space for any other buildings just yet, but our builder does need something to do, and it'll also let us get to work on that cellar. Unfortunately, this expansion is going to cause
The most unforgivable sin imaginable.
our initial windows aren't centered. At least they'll still let anyone stare through them to see Millicent after we accidentally trapped her in there. Hopefully she's not too claustrophobic. Now we'll just break down the old roof, add a new one in, and start deconstructing all the old walls. This wood-clay hybrid building is sort of an abomination, but wood is just so much harder to come by than clay. Once our tree farm is fully up and running, we'll probably try to switch all of our buildings to be made out of either wood or bricks. We're going to add to the food cellar with a butchering table and a floor to make sure the food in here doesn't decompose while it's rotting. We'll also butcher the deer you didn't see us hunt down, which will give us a lot of meat. Wouldn't it be super ironic if we actually didn't use that to make meals and made our colonists eat raw? I don't do that. Give me a little credit. I'm not that inept. Now we've unlocked longbows, which are just better than the short bows we had in every way. Jeffrey initially made a couple sturdy or flimsy short bows, but I'm hoping he'll do a much better job on these. They take a lot of wood, and they take even our experienced crafter almost a full day's labor to actually make. Summer arrives. It'll bring heat that will spoil our food if it isn't properly stored, and longbows. Good quality ones too. I'll eventually upgrade these to crossbows, but that's still a long ways off. These warbows will be the basis of our range defense for quite a while. They do require a marksman skill of 10, but all of our bow users already meet that. I tried to put our first bow to use hunting a wolf, but Wayne Hill doesn't apparently understand what prioritize means. Or she's just listening to her job priorities over what I'm telling her to do. Either way, this means that Joanna gets to test whether or not wolves will attack anyone that wanders nearby. Fortunately, they don't, although the wolves seem to sense my intention and run off before I can actually start hunting them. We don't really need the meat yet, so the fact that they're passive and we can get on with mining means that they live to be target practice some other day. Our cellar is looking a lot better. We're going to disallow raw food from being stored above ground in the hopes that it lasts a little longer in the cooler underground cellar. It looks like a day's mining gets us about 250 iron nuggets that we can make into iron ingots soon. Although we will have to transport all of this back and it's quite a ways. Just as a little tip, although I do really want this coal mined, I'm going to cancel the order for now. It's almost the end of the day and Joanna wouldn't have much time to actually mine if she trekked out there. It's better to keep her close to base and work on another mining project, like our second cellar, so that she can go to sleep at a reasonable time. I misread that the first smithery actually requires stone blocks instead of clay blocks. At least this means we'll be able to build prettier structures once we get that far. We're going to swap Millicent over to using a bow as well. Although she is a little bit better in melee, we really only need one person in the thick of things to keep enemies locked into a choke. I may make her a sort of hybrid fighter with a weapon rack nearby to let her switch to a melee weapon eventually. Fortunately, our current tower is a 3x3, so all of our archers will be able to fire away from it, but I still want to retool our defenses. I have an idea of what I want them to look like. It'll involve adding a floor behind the current brick wall so that archers can stand on it, as well as a bridge to our initial tower. We'll start to set that up, and I guess we'll also harvest some more wood. We kind of ran out. So we'll tear the first set of stairs out and put in some flooring to connect them. We're going to try to pretty up the bricks a little bit, but honestly, these looks just aren't doing it for me. I wonder if there's a mod to fix that. God, I hope they don't attack from the other entrance. Maybe we should seal that off. But I do want settlers to be able to leave that way. Will a door work? Let's find out. I think keeping our smelters out here, away from the healthy soil and bulk of our village. You know, I've been calling it a village this whole time. Is 2 buildings and 4 people really a village? Whatever. No, I don't want the smelter there. We need room for archers to stand back behind cover. Let's go ahead and build that in before I do any other planning. I don't think I want to build a back wall or a fence just yet. Making it easier to quell internal rebellions doesn't seem like a good use of resources. And honestly, those last safety inspectors attacked us even after we fixed a hole in our floor. We'll put the smelters there and let Millicent get to work on this whole area. Nice, we have another prospective colonist. I don't really know where the artwork introducing them thinks that Dudok is approaching, but that is not us. Not yet, anyways. Maybe they got turned away from their last village? It does say that he comes with a pretty nasty wound from a bad fight. Maybe he got kicked out of his last village. Well, the rest of us did start as exiles. It's nice to see that we're building up a reputation and attracting more of our own. Either way, he isn't followed by a raid, so we'll definitely take him. He's not really passionate about anything beyond construction, but he has some great base stats and a lot of crafting skills that we're starting to use. He unfortunately does not, however, have the common sense to sit in bed and let someone heal him before he runs out to eat. I mean, the dude's about to bleed out, but roasted meat is roasted meat. At least he's got his priorities. We're still beefing up our defenses. Although another attack is likely to happen any day now, I think we're ready.
You can check the next episode to see just how wrong I am.